I managed to catch both Superman and Fantastic Four. This is Majin Asura, and today I will be giving an unscripted review of the Superman movie. Fantastic Four will get his own video. This is more like a discussion style review, so there's really no aim, no script. I'm just gonna talk. We're just talking. So, before we begin, I just want to say, I haven't seen a lot of live action Superman, I didn't watch Smallville when it was on TV. I didn't watch Superman Returns, didn't care. Didn't see Man of Steel. I've only seen 2 Superman movies. One of them was a standalone, which is this one. And I know there's other characters, but it's his film, so I'm going to call it a standalone. I don't care if there's other characters in it. Standalone Superman film. The other Superman movie that I've seen was not a standalone film. And the fact that it isn't, and it's live action, you could probably narrow it down to what it is. Batman v Superman. Yeah, haven't seen a lot of live action Superman, but I have absorbed enough comics, cartoons, and video games to say that I probably know more about the character than a live action only viewer of Superman from his entire live action history. Just saying. Now, I want to talk about James Gunn. James Gunn has done the entire Guardians of the Galaxy film. He did the Superman movie. He does something that I just don't like. A lot of Disney actors and actresses do this. Even in Marvel, they try to promote the film by saying things that people don't want to hear, whether it be political or woke, But here we are. James Gunn is saying that the Superman movie is an immigration film. Here's a problem with that, all right? And this is a different case, because there's cases where the actresses and actors will promote their film and say the most wokest stuff about it. And then there's films that aren't even woke, but they'll be promoted as woke, and then people won't see it. Superman narrowly dodged that. It could have happened here. I've seen it happen to a few other movies. Ballerina, for example, the John Wick film. I didn't even know that movie existed until people were already seeing it already. I was like, what? Because I didn't see any previews or nothing. It was called Ballerina. I wasn't going to click on something, Did they promote it as a John Wick spinoff? Did they have John Wick in the name? Because if they didn't, that would explain why I didn't even know about the movie. Like, it's probably out of theaters by now. I didn't see it. But I heard that the movie didn't do good because a lot of people just thought it was going to be John Woke, so they didn't see it, and that's sad. That could have been the same thing with this movie, because basically directors and actresses, they just need to know how to shut up. They need to know how to shut up. That's why Captain Marvel got damaged so badly, because Brie Larson was saying all this shit, And then we have Rachel Zegler for Snow White. She said what she said. She killed that movie. So James Gunn could have killed this movie by, getting all political, especially when it isn't even true. Like, it's not an immigration film. Superman's immigration status was only brought up once, and it's not even a part of the plot of the film. It's really weird that he'd say that about the movie, And I know why he said that about the movie. He's trying to tap into modern events, which is fucking stupid. Which we're here for escapism, and these people want to keep putting modern events into their films. So annoying, but. He wants to bring up the immigration thing going on right now. I'm not going to go into detail about what's going on with that, but he wanted to put that in this film. Or not even. He didn't even put it in this film. He wanted to use it to promote his film. That's what he did. That's because it's not in the movie. He uses it to promote his film. And I was like, when she said that, I was like, come on, bro. What are you doing? Shut up, dog. Like, you're still on that Marvel shit. Yeah, he's a Marvel filmmaker, all right. Anyway, he also said the movie is about how people lost basic human kindness. Okay, fine, but that isn't what the movie was about anyway. Because like I said, just like this world and like in the movie, there's kind people and there's not kind people. So saying that people lost basic human kindness, no, that's not what the movie was about at all, alright? I'm going to tell you what the movie was about, alright? And it's pretty much what Superman as a whole is about. It's about a god trying to fit into human society, literally. Superman literally intervenes in a war that has nothing to do with him, right? A war between humans, ignoring the politics, and he just does shit. Mind you, he's an American, so it could almost be seen as American interference. But, he says he does it of his own free accord, And there's nothing wrong with that, except the way that the war was framed. Instead of it being two sides fighting, they framed it as an invasion, right? An invasion of sorts. And so you already know the conflict that they're trying to parody. And I'm not going to lie, that sort of made me cringe. I'm not going to go into details, but it's a complicated conflict. Today is not the same as back in the day. Superman was a political character, but it was much more cut and dry back in the day. He was an anti-Nazi propaganda character, Oh, there were clear bad guys to go against, just like Captain America. This film had no business putting this stupid political bullshit. I'm gonna give it 3 woke points for that. I'm gonna give it 3 woke points for that one. Cause, well, come on, bro. Anyway, while Superman is canonically an immigrant because he's an alien, like I said, it's only brought up once, so false advertisement for this film. Not a good look, James Gunn. Not a good look at all. Couldn't have killed your movie. You're lucky it's Superman. Now, I want to stop talking about the woke stuff for a second, and we're going to talk about the actual good stuff. This movie does do one thing good, and it's how it handles Superman's origin tale, alright? How many live-action superhero movies do we have to see with a character get how they get their powers or whatnot, We've seen Spider-Man get bit by the same spider over and over again. Thank God the MCU didn't want to do it again. We've seen it time and time again. We don't need the same goddamn origin. And Superman has a way longer live-action history than Spider-Man, so I'd imagine people who stuck around and seen most of his films would be even more fed up with that trope than even the MCU fans. So I'm glad that they kept his origin to text, That way, there's more space in the film for new content instead of dedicating a whole chunk of the film to a baby that lands on Earth and has to be raised by 2 farmers. Right? Everyone knows this already. Put it in text. If you could read, good. If you can't read, why are you in the theater? Superman in the film was great. Corn Sweat plays a great Superman. What Superman stands for, his character, his personality, it was all there. Superman was Superman. He was himself. My issue is that he was exaggerated and amplified. They exaggerated and amplified Superman. They made him feel too innocent and too emotional to the point that he almost felt like a child. And it was a little disturbing because this is a Superman that, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the beginning of the film with the text, it says he's been active as Superman for 3 years, right? So why is he so soft and weird? He just felt so weak-minded and emotional, And weak-minded isn't the word I'm looking for, but he felt so emotional. And, I want to talk about the interview he had, all right? He has an interview in the movie with Lois Lane, all right? He's acting as Superman. And he gets so emotional during the movie when he talks about why he intervened in the war. Because Lois, you have to understand where she's coming from. She's a human. She knows the law. She knows how shit's supposed to go. You can't just interfere in a war, especially when you're a civilian that's from an already established country. Like, Superman's an American, so that counts as American interference. So, but Superman's stance was, people are gonna die! And he was right, 100%. But the way he yelled it out was crazy. He felt like I'm pretty sure, like, the Superman I know, he'd be like, well, Lois, Miss Lane, pardon me, but it was either intervene with the war or let thousands of people die. And I wasn't gonna let that sit on my conscience. No, he got so emotional. He started sweating. Like, damn, bro, calm down. That's your girl, too. Lois, on this film, she knows he's Superman. So, yeah, like, this dude was... he's so emotional in this film. He feels like a fucking child. I'm sorry. I just don't... that's the only part I didn't like. He felt like an actual child. Krypto the Superdog, he didn't ruin the movie. He didn't make it worse. He was comedic relief, and I think that's all he was. That's literally all he was, because this movie could have worked without him, if I'm being honest. If you took Krypto out of the movie would have been just fine. When Krypto rescued him in a Fortress of Solitude after that ass beating, you could have just had Superman get his ass up and stumble towards the Fortress of Solitude there. Instead of Superman busting into Lex Luthor's tower because he stole Krypto, he didn't have to do that. You broke into Superman's house. That alone is a reason I'm to break into Lex Tower, in my opinion. I'm just saying, Krypto, he didn't need to be in the movie. He didn't really add anything to the film. Just funny moments. He just did funny stuff. That's all he really did. And Krypto, this is the smallest Krypto the Superdog I've ever seen, but I'm not complaining about that because I've seen his dog breed change across mediums. I've seen him as a Great Dane. I've seen him as a Bulldog. So this is the smallest I've ever seen him. Even as a Bulldog, he wasn't the size of a Bulldog. Let that be known. Krypto, when he's like the size, when he's a dog breed, he's never that size. Like, the dog breed he was in this movie, in the comics, if they made him that dog breed, he'd probably be the size of your average dog. Like, Krypto's, he's a big fucking matter what breed they made him. Because he's a super dog. He's supposed to be big, but made him small. Didn't care about that. He wasn't a cat. They weren't animal swapping him. Listen, if they animal swapped and we get Krypto the Super Cat, I expect the fans to stand up with their torches and pitchforks as if they were race swapping a character. Crypto to Super Cat? Nah, Super Cow, get that shit out my face. Super Bird, I don't want to see it. Gotta be a dog. I believe the dog breed in this movie was a terrier. I believe he was a terrier. So, you know, Lois was great. Way better than Crypto. Way more important than Crypto, the super dog. The actress was phenomenal. You know, she looked like Lois Lane. I could look at her instantly without her being introduced. I know it's Lois, you know. Jimmy Olsen, not so much, because over the years they keep changing him, what he, and who he's supposed to be. All right? I don't know what's going on in the comics, but the last comics I saw, Jimmy Olsen was a woman. All right? Not a born woman either. Just saying. My Adventure with Superman, he's a black dude. They like to change things. I didn't know who was going to be Jimmy Olsen in this movie until they said it. I was like, all right, bet, this dude's Jimmy. They wanted to stick tradition. All right? No woke shit here. All right? No DEI, no extra woke points. Just normal stuff. Lois actually advances the plot with her actions during the movie. Especially when Superman is out of commission, she actually gets stuff done. Respect. Now we have to talk about another character that caught me off guard. There's a point in the film when Superman is captured by Lex and he's put into prison with a man who could turn his hand into kryptonite. I made the mistake of calling him Martian Manhunter when I was talking to my brother. I saw the movie with my brother and I was like, that's Martian Manhunter, bro. He was like, I hope that's not Martian Manhunter. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Martian Manhunter, bro. I said that during the credits, and when I said that, a few seats over, this fat, bearded fuck looks over at me with the most disgusted look in his face. And I was like, damn, this man really wants me dead. So I knew why he was looking at me. I took out the phone, and I typed down, it's Martian Manhunter and Superman 2025. And with the picture of the same character I was talking about, Google AI said, yes. And yet, this man was looking at me with this look. I couldn't get it out of his mind. Like, this man really wanted me dead. So I got home, and without the use of AI, with my own research, it's Metamorpho, bro. And I know Metamorpho. That's what made it hurt even more. I know this character, and I couldn't even tell it was him. You know, it was just one of those things where live action didn't... He wasn't in his costume, to be fair, but it's one of those things where live action doesn't transfer to comics very well, you know? And I don't believe they even said his name either, so can you really blame me? If they said Metamorpho, I wouldn't know. You know? I don't have a lot of exposure to that character. I've just seen the comic issue he was in, so there's a chance, you know. But just a little funny thing about that. The Justice Gang, a.k.a. the fake Justice League, discount Justice League, interesting. Hot Girl was pretty good. Her costume was alright. I didn't mind. The actress was good. You know, they picked out a great actress. She looked great as Hot Girl. You know, very questionable ending. How she killed that world leader, an actual world leader. They were lecturing Superman about what he should and shouldn't do. Alright, mind you, Superman, he didn't really do anything that crazy. He just stopped the war from happening. But she killed a world leader. That's actually like 5,000 times worse than what Superman was being lectured about. She actually killed, or a superhero did this, mind you, alright? So, in this world, Amanda Waller wouldn't even be that unjust, to be honest, in this version of the plan, unfortunately, because, God, well, what the fuck were they thinking, having Supergirl do that? Mind you, she is from an era where she's a warrior type, so I guess she would kill. Maybe that's not out of character for her, but she's a superhero. And she's a reincarnation of that warrior, meaning she was born a human and she knows the laws of the world pretty much. So that, I was a little confused at that point, you know? I was very confused. I didn't know the message they were trying to get across with that. I really didn't know the message they were trying to get across with her killing the world leader, you know? Because, like, as evil as the film made the guy to be, he's still a world leader at the end of the day, you know? Like, what would happen if we have, like, superheroes from other nations come over and kill the president of the United States? That's literally the same shit, you know? So, I don't think the director was really thinking. I think they were just being emotional and passionate over real-world events when they wrote that scene. That's extra woke points. Extra woke points. Not a woke film, but woke shit here and there, unfortunately. Just 2 woke moments, maybe. Mr. Terrific was excellent. A drastic improvement from the last live-action Mr. Terrific. The previous live-action Mr. Terrific that we got, that was a fucking travesty. That was a travesty. That was terrible. Should not have happened. Like, it was a tragedy, man. Like, what they did to that character, what the CW did to Mr. Terrific was nothing short of an absolute travesty. And this movie wrote that wrong. He was a funny character. Great character. I didn't even care about that motherfucker in Justice League Unlimited, but they actually made me like the guy. Funny character. Green Lantern. I will say this. Guy Gardner, very funny. The movie would not have been the same without Guy Gardner. I'm not going to lie. Still, a bit of a weird choice for the first Green Lantern. Considering he's like one of the later Green Lanterns. You know, no Hal Jordan, just, you know. And there's a lot of things in this movie. That's why it's weird to me. Because this Lantern is a later character. And yet Superman, he feels like he's a novice at the game. Weird stuff. Crypto's here. That's a later character. And yet Superman felt like he's a novice at the game. Lex Luthor. Great character. Until the end when he started crying after he lost. That was some pussy shit. Lex Luthor would never cry when he loses. He's hateful. He's planning the next move after he gets arrested. There's no prison that can hold this man. He's too smart. He's going to get out. He's going to do something crazy eventually. This man in Canada did all this crazy shit and somehow they still got elected as mayor. You know, Metropolis knows what this man did and they still elect him as mayor. He might not have feet, but this dude, he's a weasel. He just does things, bro. He just does things. You know, when you see gangsters saying, I have people in high places, do you really think the law is going to keep me? No, Lex doesn't need that. He just does shit, bro. I'm just saying. In this movie, this man is the reason that war is even happening in the first place. It's insane. It's a flex for Lex. I'm not... Flex for Lex. That's actually... Flex for Lex is crazy. Hold on. Flex for Lex. What? Lex flex. Holy shit. That's a flex for Lex, though. It really is. Like, holy shit. Like, he was doing good the whole movie. He was disrespectful. He was funny. He was evil. He was fucked up. But then, in the end, they had a crying like a little bitch, and I didn't like that. You want to know what else I didn't like about the movie? Ultraman. Oh my god. This version of Ultraman is a travesty of 2 characters and a fusion of 3 characters. They literally pulled an Iron Man 2. If any of you guys seen Iron Man 2 and you saw Whiplash, right? The guy with the whips, the Russian dude with the whips. Whiplash isn't Russian. Crimson Dynamo is. Whiplash gets the Crimson Dynamo armor at the end of the Iron Man 2 movie, making him both villains at the same time. So, what did this Superman movie do? Which villains did they fuse together? Bro, the third villain that they fused ain't even a DC character. But to be fair, the third villain that they combined is a parody of a DC character. We're going to start with Ultraman himself. Who is Ultraman in this film? Ultraman is a clone of Superman. He's a clone of Superman. Who is a clone of Superman in DC Comics? Created by Lex Luthor. Who was a failure, just like Ultraman in this movie, who was a failure because of his lack of intellect. His name is Bizarro. Superman fights Bizarro in this movie and they call him Ultraman. Do you guys know who Ultraman is? Superman from another universe. Literally Superman from another universe. Literally, he's from the evil universe. Justice League? No, it's called the Crime Syndicate over there. Batman and Superman? There's no Superman and Batman. It's Ultraman and Owlman. It's a whole thing over there. And this movie ruined that. They pretty much crossed out that possibility of even happening by turning Ultraman into a discount Superman clone. So yeah, we're not going to get no Crisis on 2 Earths or anything like that. That shit shot out the water. When his helmet came off, and it was corn sweat underneath the helmet, I was happy because only another Superman should be putting hands on Superman like that. Him getting his ass beat throughout the movie, that didn't really bother me much anymore. He's still a soft fuck. He's still soft as hell. But him, you know, the beatings made sense. He's fighting another Kryptonian. Fine. But it doesn't change the fact that they ruined 2 characters simultaneously. Because Bizarro, he's a funny character. He's literally opposite Superman, literally. And I know I said Ultraman is the opposite of Superman, but Bizarro is literally the opposite of Superman, even down to the way he talks, down to the way his brain operates. Yes means no type shit. Like literally, it's opposite day for this man. If this man says that he loves you, run away. If this man says he's going to do everything to take care of you, run away because he's about to kill you. Alright? So, Bizarro, that's the type of character he was. So, I don't know why they ruined 2 characters at once. Could have just called him Bizarro. They did what they did. And the third, I almost forgot about the third character. Oh, how could I forget about the third character? He's not even from DC. He's from The Boys. And not The Boys TV show. I'm talking about The Boys comic book. So, do you guys know Homelander from The Boys? He is based off of Superman. And he is very, very, very evil, right? Do you guys know Black Noir from The Boys? Black Noir 1, not Black Noir 2, right? We're going to ignore Black Noir 2. If you guys know Black Noir, he dresses up like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe, but he's Batman. He fights like Batman, all right? He's their Batman. The Boys comics is a little different from the TV show, all right? You still have your evil Homelander, who's arguably worse than the TV show, considering that he ate an entire baby. Yeah, I'm talking cannibalism. Pretty bad. Yeah, but the Boys comics is a little different. Because Homelander isn't actually evil. There's another evil Homelander that's doing so much evil that is making the real Homelander believe that he's doing evil because of some weird mental stuff. Yeah, the Boys comics is actually worse than the show. It's written really badly. But it turns out the Homelander clone has been Black Noir the entire time. Black Noir was a clone of Homelander. He's been doing the evil shit and then putting on the Black Noir costume afterwards. I don't know why Homelander in the comics believe it's actually him. There's some mind stuff going on in the comics that I forgot about. But they pretty much took that version of Black Noir. They took comic Black Noir, who was a Homelander clone, and they made him Ultraman in his Superman movie. He's literally wearing the Black Noir suit for the majority of the movie. When I saw him, I was like, that's literally Black Noir. They did what they did. Overall, I have a few gripes. So my only gripes about this movie is the political nature, Superman being too soft and overly emotional. I didn't even talk about his costume. We gotta talk about the costume. People were complaining about his costume the entire time. His costume wasn't bad in my opinion. It was a good costume. It just wasn't as good as Zack Snyder's costume. And I think to this day, Zack Snyder has created the best live-action Superman costume. And I'm not even talking about the underwear, all right? I'm talking about the... Let's ignore the underwear, all right? Because everyone talks comic accuracy with the underwear. Fuck that, all right? Let's ignore the cock and balls. Let's focus on the torso. When you put him next to Zack Snyder, he looks bland and plain because he's missing Superman's iconic physique, his muscles. James Gunn said he didn't want Superman to have muscles because he wanted him to feel soft and cuddly. So those feelings that I had about Superman feeling softer or more emotionally weaker in the movie, they were true. Because that's literally what James Gunn was trying to do. So this is literally an emotionally softer, more gentle Superman. I don't think I like it very much, to be honest. It explains why he gets offended so easily. But to cry over some internet shit, like the real Superman would be on his shit, bro. I'm just saying. But the thing about the costume is that it's not a bad costume. Look at all the other Superman costumes prior to this one. From all the other movies, alright? And I'm not gonna lie, I heard someone say that Superman's costume from Superman Returns was better than Superman 2025. At that point, you're talking crazy. Because some of those costumes are even more bland than that. They're so bland, I think, they're borderline sus even. They're borderline sus. Like, they look like something I could buy at Spirit Halloween. Like, what are we doing here? Saying that those costumes are actually better. Are they more comic accurate? Yeah, because in the comics. But at the same time, Zack Snyder captured the muscle physique, even if the muscles are fake. That is comic accuracy. And some people are like, I'm tired of superheroes being brolic. Bro, that sounds like a you problem. Because Superman's literally supposed to be a god. Alright? He's supposed to stand above us all in terms of physique. Mentally, he's supposed to be trying to fit in and be like us. Alright? In this movie, he's too much like us. Too much like us to the point that he's... Let me not about to say something crazy. Had to catch myself. That's it. This wasn't like a super review. I'm not like a movie reviewer. I just wanted to talk straight from the dome. Give my opinions about the film. Not a bad film. I enjoyed the movie other than those things. I just have my minor gripes. Overall, it was a good movie. Not bad enough to fail. If you didn't see it anyway. Even though I said what I said, the bad stuff, not a bad movie anyway. See it. It's worth it. Next time, we talk about Fantastic Four. But until then, I want you guys leave a comment and tell me what you guys think about this Superman movie. How'd you guys feel about this Superman movie, huh? It was a good movie. Other than those small issues, and they were very small. They weren't bad because the plot was still the plot. The plot was still solid. it was a good movie. Now, as far as comic accuracy go, it's a decent Superman film. It's a good superhero movie, but a decent Superman film. And I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know what you guys think about the movie in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and hit the bell on the notification, alright? Peace!